All right, welcome back to the Crave Show. It's good to be here again. We got JRuss. How you doing, JRuss?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Very good. And we have a very special guest with us. I was super excited when JRuss told me who our guest is. We got Mr. Olav Zipser himself, I'm going to say the Godfather of Freeflying. I don't know. Is that true, Olav?
Well, that's what other people say. I just had
Yeah.
fun free flying. But hello to everyone who's listening and watching this. Nice to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. Very cool. Um, so I want to hear. I know we want to hear from you, Olav, about your life and stories or anything that you want to share with us. But also, I mean, we're on the heels of the record attempts, and you guys are both at SDC right now.
We are.
So y'all have got to share with me how the week has gone, what's happened, where are we at? Because I have not been keeping up online. I know there's a lot of stuff online, but I've kind of been waiting because I wanted to hear from y'all.
Cool. Yeah.
Well,
So
let me tell you one thing.
no,
Yep.
you go.
J Russ can tell you everything from the inside out, and I can tell you some things from the looking up. I was not part of it. So questions of how good it was flying and how beautiful it was, probably hold hands with 200 flyers. I cannot answer this time because I was sitting on the ground. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's I guess you want to ask me some questions. I was sitting on the ground because just recently I had my leg amputated, just 4 months ago.
You did?
And that set me back. Yes. Look
Wow.
at that. It's all gone. Anyhow, it set me back a couple months, and I was not even thinking that maybe I'll make it to Chicago. But then I healed up quite well after 2 months. It started healing rapidly and less pain every day. So about 1 month ago, I made the decision I come to Chicago anyway, and I see how far I can take it. And I took it not as far as I wanted to. I really wished to be part of this beautiful event. But I did make 4 jumps already since the amputation. And I decided that I'm not quick enough on the ground and I'm not willing to have all that stress in the moment, which it takes to make this world team and all the ground preparation. I wasn't ready for all of that, and likely not ready for the flying part also. But in the 4 jumps with Rook, I actually had a good time. Did some practice pulls like I haven't done for maybe 20,000 jumps. And went into it head down and did some 360s with grips with Rook in the sit and 360s, then back on the belly, some more practice pulls, and then so it all went good on the first flight, and all the 3 after the flight was also good. So flying wise, I feel fit, but on the ground, I'm like a snail now.
Yeah.
And that makes me scared to go in a hangar with my crutches, because if someone kicks the crutches, I will definitely fall over like a potato sack. That's stupid.
Well, so Olaf, what happened? Why did you have to have the amputation?
Can we pause that though? Because
All
there's
right.
a bunch
Yeah,
of
yeah.
people. Olav, most of our listeners are relatively new jumpers. I would say maybe a few hundred
Yes.
to maybe 1,000 jumps, and so your name may be
Okay.
familiar to some of those people. But if you would just the only thing that I told Olav before the cast, which is what I tell everybody, is that we're going to ask you, what's your bio? What would you like people to know about you? So give us the cliff notes of who is Olav Zipser.
Okay, I was born in Germany, and in 1986, I was very lucky because I ended up being one of the first test pilots for AFF in Europe. I flew in the ocean of gas. I felt already then it wasn't like falling, it wasn't like free falling, it was more like swimming or like flying. And I got super duper inspired on my first AFF jumps, and I actually changed my job, or I stopped my job as fixing teeth, and I went to Florida, where people trained from DC-3s and jumped from high altitudes, from 4,000 meters, and I made big formations. And over there, I learned about skydiving from the best people in the world who had about 2,000 jumps at the time, or maybe 2,500 jumps. And with with in very short time, I made a lot of jumps because I was on vacation. And during those jumps, I did the belly flying and some formation flying, but that was not really my biggest interest. My interest was to maybe fly to the clouds, learn to track the clouds all by myself. And sometimes when I flew next to the clouds, I had like a vertical space to play with. Like today, we call it proximity flying. This is the base jumping. Um, it was similar. It was proximity flying, but in the soft clouds. And it ended up being vertical or diagonal, and yeah, all those different positions which one has to do to even get to the cloud. That in the end became free flying. It was not my intent to go head down or do a looping or do sit fly or anything. It was my intent to go to the clouds wherever they are and see if I can fly there. And then cruise down the clouds and watch my shadow with the round rainbow around. And then I flew in and out the clouds and had fun with that. And people started asking me, it's like, hey, what are you doing? And then I go like, oh man, I just fly by myself. I go to the cloud and then I do this and whatever hand signs. And I didn't understand because I couldn't even speak English very well. And then some said like, man, I'm so curious. Can I come with you? And I go like, yeah, come with me. But then they couldn't because they didn't know how to track in such ways and so far. And then maybe sometimes steeper in a head down or all those different positions in free fly can happen. And there were belly flyers, had belly suits, and they become more and more curious of what this flying is all about and why a little German boy can go and chase his shadows in the clouds and they can't. And then quickly after I had like sort of 17,000 jumps, they gave me the number 3 or number 4 in the USPA system for how many jumps I had at the time. I started making schools for free flying. I inspired people worldwide to talk about this not falling but flying and the different speeds, the rotations, and the power which can come by having such speed. And they did exactly like we all wanted it. They went back to their home countries, told their country aero clubs about this new idea of not only falling but flying, manipulating the air in such a way that human flight is possible. It's almost like swimming, not like a cork floating, but swimming with active motion and then deciding of where do you end up swimming to. The same idea is in the skies, just we're super fast up there. But the medium of aerodynamic and hydrodynamic, I find they're like almost like cousins. They're not the same, but they work kind of similar. If you know one, then you know the other a little bit. And that became free flying, swimming in the ocean of gas with all the power a gravitational pull of Earth can give you, you know? And however much muscle power you can put into the curve flying, and then you can carve the air, the unseen air. We can carve it with the extra speed. And I guess many people liked it over time. They had the people who learned from me, maybe the first 100 people I kind of trained, hand trained, gave them my idea and they liked it. And then they became teachers too, some of them. They then taught other people and some stuck with it 4 or 5 years. Is sort of like the idea of skydiving life, I would imagine. Who is ever 5 years later in the skydiving probably becomes a teacher or tandem master or something, working on the drop zone, having more fun. And then they have their own generation of students. Some of them, after 4 or 5 years, become teachers too. And then they have their own students. So I was really surprised coming to Chicago and seeing all the free fly enthusiastic best flyers, fastest humans, fastest mammals on planet Earth, holding hands, and 90% of them I did not know, never seen, and have no idea what their names are. But they all came together from all around the world and now fly really fast and hold hands. That's amazing.
Dude,
I'm very happy about it.
That is so awesome. Like all those people there at Skydive Chicago this week, they don't, and a lot of them, some of them don't even know who you are. Maybe it's possible.
I think in the belly group, more people knew my name than in the free fly group.
But
Because
they
in the belly
wouldn't,
group, they're almost as old as I am. And in
the free flyers, they would not be doing that today if it wasn't for you. I mean, is that
I don't
fair?
know. Well,
I'm
hope
not saying that
I hope to think like this, but it's very likely someone else would have come up with some different kind of flying. You know, I
Yeah,
was just
absolutely.
lucky. I had the time, I had a little money. I was right there when AFF started. I was right there where the cool boys were flying in Zephyr Hills. I learned from the best. I had the biggest support. I had less than 100 jumps, and people started giving me jump tickets and free camping space. I was sponsored from the very beginning from PD and from Cyprus, and I helped everyone to make it speed tested. You know, before
Yeah.
there was Velcro everywhere. We had the pilot chute on the belly or on the leg.
Mhm.
Stupid. This Velcro, a million miles of Velcro, which doesn't work after 5 jumps. Stupid. You know, we changed all that. And we made it, it wasn't my intent to have better rigs and not a toggle around my arm while I'm doing loop-de-loops with 200 miles per hour. That's stupid, you know? So we changed it all. And then we have tuck tabs and rings on the rigs. I think all the rigs in the world, they probably have some little improvement from my team, the Free Fly Clowns or the Free Fly Circus later. We've jumped so much and we had so many ideas, and
That's so cool.
luckily they implemented some, you know, into Cyprus with the high-speed testing, the parachutes from PD. Yeah, there were some really crazy adventurous prototypes PD had, and they let me fly.
That's amazing.
The parachutes we have today, they're charm. They're no wild Broncos no more. They're beautifully trained horses, you know. Before they were always wild, like you just stole a horse from an Indian.
Yeah. Well, one of the first times that I heard your name was from Luis Prenetto, and
Okay, the
Luis,
Venezuelan boy, yeah.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And he told me, he was telling me the story about when he moved from Venezuela to Florida,
Yeah.
and he said one of the reasons that he moved to Florida is because that's where you were, and he wanted to fly with you. He wanted to learn from you because he had a poster of you on his wall in Venezuela.
There are many kids who grew up with posters of Free Fly on the wall. You know?
That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
That
I
is so
think,
cool.
you know, the Soulfire, Fred and Vince, everyone knows them, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, they're quite famous in
Sure.
skydiving. They were 14, 15, and they had posters of free flying. And they were watching my tapes, my early VHS tapes, before they go to school in the morning. That's how they grew up. That's really
That is
cool.
so great. That's awesome.
And yeah, and also some of the Russian guys, which are world champions now, and they also have parents which are skydivers. And I knew them when they were kids, you know.
Yeah.
They were inspired as kids. Before they even really jumped, they were already free flyers in their head. I loved it.
Well, okay. We in just a second, we've got to get back to the to the record, because we didn't even talk about it. And I said that's what we're going to start with.
Okay.
But before
Yeah,
we do that, like, do you remember when you first realized, like, oh, this head down flying or this head up flying is actually a different thing? Like, did you have a moment when you realized, oh, this is different, and we're going to call it a different discipline of sorts? Do you remember thinking that?
Well, it was very early. I wanted to do something different. Everyone had a big belly, was older, and was doing the belly flying stuff, which hurt my back. I'm skinny and I can't bend that much, and I didn't even like it, the belly stuff so much. So right then I knew that tracking to and find a cloud and look for a rainbow, that was the shit. So I knew that. Did I call it free flying? No. I actually called it screaming bullet before, because we were so fast and we went over the edge. John LeBlanc is a screaming bullet. Scotty Gabone was a screaming bullet. I think we had 7 people. And I think Scotty was number 7. And he stopped looking at me as soon as we went over the edge from tracking to like this, you know? We were looking at each other, and then I go, okay, now let's go. And then Scotty stopped looking and went ballistic. And I couldn't even catch him because he's such a dense boy. We all know him, you know? So then I quickly understood that's not the way to teach people to go full power right away, you know. And then I came up with this pizza shit, you know. People called it pizza in the beginning. Like stretch all wings out, use all four wings, and figure out which wings are main wings and which wings are secondary wings. And that worked out fine for being like AFF style, teaching people in all different actions and directions and rotations. My system then was called AFF 2.0, but I called it Aviation Free Fly 2.0. So it's accelerated free fall, fine. That's how you learn how to pull and to survive. And then my idea was let's give it a 2.0, and then you learn all the angles, all the directions, all the speeds, all the power you can do and use for loopings and twists and multi whatever. And that is the human flight envelope. If you can track as far as you can, and you can go as fast as possible as you can, and you can go as slow as possible as you can, and you can handle all rotations and loopings while looking at your play partners, then you are free flying to your maximum human capabilities.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
JRuss, we got to talk about the records.
Okay. Well, let's see. So we had a couple days of a small group, like 40 ways, building up. We tried to build those 40 ways with a two-person grip in the center. And basically, we were trying to mimic what was going to happen on the actual record. So the inner 40, the core 40, did their own build up. And then my two sectors, I was in charge of the north sector with my friend Omar from Dubai. And we had what was called the north sector. There were four sectors. And so we spent a couple days trying to build 40 ways. And I think that started on, we did Saturday, Sunday doing that. And then Monday morning started the 200 way group. We were trying to do a progressive buildup. So Matt really wanted just the inner 40, and then I think the first jump it built out to my position, which was on the core 40. Then there were a number of first stingers on that inner group. So the first spine person, a rib of three people, and then I was the second spine person. And so each jump, we added more people that were authorized to dock, and slowly built up. Sadly, we encountered a lot of weather. So Tuesday was a complete wash. Part of Wednesday was not jumpable. Part of Thursday was not jumpable. Part of Friday was not jumpable. So the plan was for 26 jumps. We did, I think, 3 jumps or 4 in the 40 ways, and then we got I think a total of 6 in the 200 way, and the bigger group. It didn't end up being a 200 way, so we broke the record at 174, and so we had the difficult decision when we know that the weather forecast is not great, and we would like to break the record that's been standing for 10 years. So we had a couple of jumps with all 200 people authorized to dock, and then sadly we had to remove some people if if we had the jump, their spot was available, and they weren't able to dock for whatever reason. We removed down from 199 down to 174. So I think that's 25 people. We did. I think we got it on the third attempt of 174. We added back 10 people or so to the next one. We were a little bit short on that one, that 184, and then we added everyone back who was there intending to be on the record. And I think that got us to 187, and that was our last attempt. And we had one person on the one, it was 188, and one person got sort of unstable, flipped out of the formation, and was unable to return to her slot. And 187 people were docked in their slot. Which, so overall, super happy to get a record. Really, really, we had Matt Fry on once on his own and then once with Rook to talk about sort of what was going to come up. But I mean, a super lot of congratulations goes to Matt for really digging into a new engineering and sort of a new structure, and also honestly bringing a different vibe to the overall event that was very upbeat, very positive the entire time. Which I mean, none of us were trying to be negative in the past, but he really focused on a positive vibe, and there was a lot of feedback from the people that I talked to that said that they really appreciated that. Um,
So the
so
new
I have,
record is
I have to agree with you.
187.
Jason. I have to agree
sorry,
with you with the vibe. It was fantastic the way he made it.
yeah,
Almost like a yoga class.
yeah,
The vibe. It was super cool.
yeah.
Did very well.
What, Olav? What did you notice? What did you notice about the vibe? What do you mean? Like what was?
What the way the talking was done and the way everyone was talked into what's coming next, the voice which was used, the sound, the spacing, the timing. It was like kind of like breathe in, breathe out, do a yoga thing, and I never seen it like this, and I was almost thinking like that's a bit much, but in the end I go like, man, this is the super duper way, you know.
Hmm.
Instead of going military, whatever, this there was a yoga class basically, and we were dancing on the floor. And I can see that getting better over the years because everyone will dig that, you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
187 is the new record.
No, sorry. For those people who are unfamiliar with records, before you go up on the jump, you must declare the exact number and the exact positions for the record that you're going for. And so the fact that that one person was out, we had declared 188 and we only had 187. So that's not a record. The record is currently 174, and that will be the one to beat. Sorry about the bird. That'll be the one to beat in future years. So still really nice to. I mean, the 164 was set in 2015, and so it's really nice to kind of put that behind us. But also seeing the relatively, I wouldn't say easy, but we had a really strong build on the 188 way, and I think that the person that wasn't there, she's a very good flyer. She just didn't have her best performance on that one, but she is quite good, and I think again, for people who might not be at records, what a record typically requires is that everyone has a really good jump on the same jump. The pilots do a really good job on that jump. Everything, the oxygen system, everything comes together on the record jump, and that's one of the challenges is trying to get the 200 people to have one of their best jumps at the same time.
And with the new formation and those changes, and it worked well. Everybody liked it. What did y'all see there?
It did. I mean, it worked very well. I think that there's still some learning for all of us on just sort of the way to fly it. Because I wouldn't say it was easy, but it definitely was easier than the pods and bridges that we did for all the records prior to that. So I think that again, Matt did a fantastic job of digging into what the belly flyers had already found for themselves as far as the pods and bridges stopped working at about the same number for them, around 200, and they had to develop some new engineering. So really kind of hats off to Matt for just borrowing from their experience, which I thought was really good.
So would you think most people are convinced that that's the way to go moving forward?
I think so. I mean, there's always hope. I hope there's always innovation in the future, and that as we're here with Olav talking about innovating at a time when there was really only belly flying, I continue to hope that there are people out there whose honestly minds are a little more creative than my own, and continue to try and innovate. I never thought of myself as a super creative guy, and I think, to be honest, I think Matt is more in the vein of Olav, and I'm more in the vein of those belly flyers that Olav didn't want to imitate. So I'm glad that there's people out there who have that level of creativity and are pushing it forward.
And I'm guessing there's probably still a lot of kind of like debriefing, talking, figuring stuff out. But were there so far, just in this short time, were there any lessons learned or things that you guys talked about or saw or discussed as far as next time?
I mean, I think that there will be those lessons. Everybody was kind of decompressing today. The party went late into the evening last night or 2 nights ago. Last night, and people are leaving town. I think that as the organizer crew, we'll probably get together and have a powwow of things that we learned. And then, to be honest, that Skydive Chicago puts out a feedback form that's just super helpful. Like, it's anonymous, which makes it great. People can be as honest as they want to be about things that we did well and things that we need to improve. And sometimes it's those comments from the flyers that we had that really point us in the right direction as far as what we can do better on the next one.
Cool. And the belly guys, can you tell us real quick, what did they do?
Well, they did not set a record, and it's weird that we were there at the same time, and we were kind of sharing some of the costs and trying to have just a good cooperative spirit with using the aircraft and uh, Rook and Matt and Doug Barron, who we've had on the show, worked out a system basically of each group had a time window that, say, arbitrarily our time window was 7:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning, and then once we missed our window, if we didn't jump for whatever reason, that became the window for the belly flyers for the next 2 hours. And that was just a way to try to handle the issues that come up, and hopefully it kind of smoothed out over the long term as far as everyone getting the right number of opportunities. There was sort of a gentleman's agreement that if it was got really lopsided during the week for some reason, that we just acknowledge that and maybe flip flop the order to get the other group more jumps, which we ended up doing. Because the belly guys went up, I believe, 6 or 7 times.
Seven.
And then they rode the plane back down. And I don't know how many jumps they got. I think it was less than I think we got 9 total, and they got maybe 6 or 7 total. But they had a number of issues. They had an injury early. They had the oxygen system. I think somebody reached up to use it as like a support and broke it mid-flight, and it had to come back down. But 250 people and a $65 jump is right around, I think, some quick math, right around $17,000 every time the planes take off. And 7 times, that's, again, some quick math. That's like $120,000 in jump tickets that they didn't jump. Yeah. So a little bit painful there. I didn't, although I'm friends with a lot of those guys, I didn't get a lot of detailed reporting. To be honest, I was quite busy for the whole event. So other than just kind of kicking Doug in the nuts every once in a while when I saw him, I didn't get a chance to hear how they were doing. I saw my friend Chuck Finley today. He's one of the older crew from Skydive Chicago on his belly, and but we started team training again this morning, so I just haven't had time to hear about what happened.
And the injury that you just mentioned a second ago, was that person okay? Was it serious or?
Yeah, they had I think a tib fib injury, broken
Man.
leg, and
On
then
landing, I guess.
on landing, yeah, there were.
Oh man.
You do the best that you can, of course, as the pilots. They're trying for a good spot, but when there's 8 the belly flyers had 9 planes in formation. I think we had 8. You're a little bit limited on what you can do for jump run. And when they're climbing up to 19 or 20,000 feet, we normally take it north. That could be downwind at the time. And then trying to manage the green light point and getting everybody right over the top, trying to dodge clouds, all those things, they don't always marry up very well. So I think it was a slightly off-field landing that the guy hurt himself. We also had 2 injuries in the free fly side. Canadian younger guy, Tyler Carty, was doing an off-field landing on one of the spots we had that was offset for clouds, and he landed to the west, and he was shooting for next to the road, and unfortunately didn't think about the fact that nature doesn't normally make straight lines, and when there are straight lines, there's a lot of times hazards that go along with it, and he was at a low altitude in need of avoiding power lines, and he made a somewhat low turn onto a driveway.
Mm.
And he had he has four fractures in his lower back. He, I believe, is out of surgery now. He had surgery today. And I'm
Man.
waiting to kind of hear from the Canadian friends of mine. But the doctors were very confident that it was going to be a full recovery. He was going to be fine, which is always nice to hear. And then we had a woman, Maggie Regan, who's a tremendously good free flyer, and I think she broke her ankle on a landing, and she was, had it casted up and was back in our group for the rest of the event. And sad, but decent spirits. So a couple of hiccups there.
Yeah. Real quick before, because I know we want to hear a lot more from Olav questions and stuff, but can you give us all an idea of how do you coordinate landings? I mean, with that many people, so you've got 199 people, 200 people in the air, right? How many camera flyers did y'all have?
Four.
Four?
Well, sometimes five. Norman Kent was kind of splitting time between the belly flyers in our group and trying to just join us whenever he could. So there were four that were specifically assigned a kind of cardinal directions on our formation, and then I think from when I spoke to them that they basically had not a frame lock, but they were looking at one section so that we could use it for debrief. When they felt that section was built, they were then able to kind of back up a little bit and try and take in the whole thing. I believe that Jason Peters was the primary. Jason that we had on a couple weeks ago was the primary camera flyer as far as getting the still image and the video that we used to submit to the judges.
So I mean, there were some jumps where you had around 200 people, right, or over 200. So how do you handle the landings?
Well, one of the things about Skydive Chicago is that the whole drop zone is on 220 acres, and the landing area alone is 60 acres, which, I mean, most drop zones don't encompass 60 acres in the entirety of the facility. So we did have a lot of space to work with. Our out landings, we have a west out and a north out. Again, those two outs that are much smaller than the main landing area are bigger than most drop zones have to work with. Our main landing area is absolutely huge, and we didn't assign specific locations to people. We limit turns to 90 degrees and had a very stern discussion with people that this is not a swoop meet. It's not a right 90 and then a left 90. It's a base leg and a 90-degree turn that's predictable, no stall surging, and that is part of your safety performance. And so we try and make it important to people that they can be sat down from the record if they're exhibiting unsafe canopy flight. But by and large, free flyers, as Olav kind of alluded to, the parachutes have improved a lot. Free flyers generally on very similarly sized parachutes that are a little bit smaller, a little bit faster. And you might think that creates chaos, but it doesn't. The similar size and wing loading means that we have usually a very smooth landing system, and again, encourage people to use the entire landing area.
So you didn't assign quadrants or areas, you just kind of let people figure it out, and they did it. They just figured it out.
Yeah, I personally went in the north out every jump except one. And the one I just happened to be right over the center. It was actually the last jump, and I landed in the main landing area. But if you're going to encourage people to use the alternate landing areas, use the whole landing area, I thought I would try to lead by example. And it was much calmer in the north out and a lot fewer people.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations. New record.
Thank you. I mean, I think a big congratulations to Matt and Rook, of course.
Yeah.
And then I had people coming up and congratulating me for the record today, which it is cool, and it is an accomplishment. But especially for the people out there, and I know there were a ton of people, as Olav said, that those younger people that don't even know his name, and this is their first time getting a record. A bigger congratulations to those guys. I think it's a huge milestone for them.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
I agree.
So I kind of, Olav, I made some notes. And Olav and I met, I think in 2012 at the World Meet in Dubai was the first. I mean, I of course knew who he was, but the first time that we actually maybe became aware of each other's presence. Olav was out there with a team. I think you were with Claudio and Giancarlo at that point. some other, I think they're Venezuelan guys.
Yes.
And Olav was a guest of the Crown Prince and was able to fly in the private tunnel where Stephanie and I worked, and so we got to fly together a little bit, uh, and sort of the first time that we just knew each other personally. And over the subsequent years, you just hear a little bit about people and so Olav, I wanted to ask you. We had Ray Kubiak on the show, I think a couple times now, and Ray worked at an indoor tunnel that was a pusher from the bottom called Flyaway, which he
Yes.
talked about you coming to Flyaway and kind of pitching a tent outside and learning from guys like John Suter and Ray himself and kind of suggested that you saw some ideas there that you really liked and you were the guy that took it to the sky. And I wondered if you might say a couple words about what it was like to be at Flyaway 30 or 40 years ago and flying with those guys.
Yeah. I think it was 1987 or 8, something like this. And you were right. I think Pigeon Forge at that time was the only wind tunnel kind of for commercial use, other than maybe military stuff. Maybe Las Vegas was the same tunnel, and there was one also. I didn't know. Anyhow, I was coming from Florida, and I had a motorcycle, and my idea was I'd drive north up to New York and see what happens. Then on the way there was this wind tunnel, which I found out, forgot how, but somehow I went to the wind tunnel, fly away, and I ended up with super fun. This was great. And I had one parachute, which I think one of the owner, Tina, is that correct? Was that owner Tina? There were 4 owners. Anyhow, one of the younger owners was interested in my parachute. So I ended up trading it for I think 100 tickets and flying in the tunnel. So she got the parachute and I flew 100 tickets in the tunnel. I ended up, I'm a sporty boy. I did the loopings and jumping on the side of the wall, hanging like Spider-Man, looking through the windows, entertaining the customers which are looking through the windows inside. I think out of those 100 tickets, I probably flew 200-300 times. They just let me be in there, and when there was between the classes or whatever, I was the clown who could go inside. And yeah, you mentioned John Suter and Phil Henderson. I think there was a guy also, Phil Henderson. They were the best guys. They were the sports boys in the tunnel, and especially both of those. They were doing wheel loopings and hang time on the top. They were kind of on their back, hanging down with a sort of head down position, but kind of on their back flying, looking down in an arch, And then we had those huge balloons, which you can put 2 people inside or something, That's how big they were. And you basically were not flying your body, you were flying the suit. And whoever knew how to do a rotation and make the suit still be blown up and not wrap around your arm, then you could kind of stay in that wind chamber. The modern tunnels, you have the wind, and then comes the wall, and there is nothing in between. The wind stops at the wall, at the glass. At these old tunnels, you had the wind, and then you had cushions on the bottom, and then the wall was maybe a meter, maybe more, away from the wind to the wall. There was no air at all. So you jump or you fall off, you fall into the cushions. And if you planned for it, you could track through the wind with so much force that on the other side you shot out of the wind channel, but then you bounced onto the cushioned wall and you could hang there like a little hang time and then push back into the tunnel. And that was a good way to break my nose. Yeah. I think some people broke their nose just like me. Yeah.
And so, Olav, I think, and all of this is just what I think I've pieced together about you over the years. At some point, you made your way to Pahokee, and was it there that you met Mike and Rook?
No, Mike and Rook I know from when he was small because of his Papa Roger.
Yeah.
And Missy, but not skydiving. I just seen him here and there. Rook, I know because at Pahokee, at Skydive America, we were using Chicago otters. So we had a kind of a deal with Roger. And whenever there's snow up here, we used 1 or 2 planes from him down there, like we still do probably in wherever it's Titusville or Sebastian, probably.
Yep.
So we kind of had the same idea. And then at one point, Rook was, I believe, 18 or maybe 17 still. Roger brings him down and goes like, "Hey, here's my son." And okay, cool. He was already a super skydiver and sporty. There was nothing he needed to learn. He just needed more play partners and good play partners. And we were the world champion team at the time. And we had lots of ideas which we didn't even got to train or test out yet. You know, everything is young and new at the time. And yeah, and then I remember the day when Roger says, "Hey, Olaf, come here. See you later. I'm going back to Chicago. And by the way, take care of Rook." And I go, "What? What? Say that again? What? You didn't talk about this at all, you know?" And he goes like, "Yeah, yeah, don't worry. You know, Rook has an apartment. He's got a little money. Just jump with him sometimes, you know, or whatever." And I go, "When are you coming back? When are you going to pick up the boy, you know?" "Oh, yeah, whatever. A couple of months, I'll pick him back up." And Rook was super young, man. A really young boy, and we were older, and I didn't really know what to do. But then it didn't matter because he flew so nice, and we flew together, and then quickly he became the best choice to make a new team and put him in the team as well. And Mike Swanson was already in the team. Mike
Okay.
Swanson, myself, and John Matthews, we became the first champions of the US at the first nationals. And then John Matthews, he had a terrible accident and ended up incapable of flying and continuing the team. And then we had Steve Utter there for one season, and that did not work out. And it was the chemistry in the team was not correct. And then was Rook. Rook was the choice to put in the team. And that was Rook come in the perfect time because we won the first world championship in free fly, the first world air games in free fly. And then I went with Rook as a freestyle team. We got invited to Japan for the whatever number of world games. And then we won gold medal over there as well. And all the time before, I had the space games. I don't know if people know today, probably not.
I know.
Maybe some of you, yes. And in the space games, I came up with this space ball, which is basically a weighted tennis ball, which I trimmed and calibrated, so it flies our head-down speed of our formation speed, and as it's a ball, it's actually truly falling, and the humans have to fly with the falling thing. And I made it like this because it's everywhere falls the same direction and everywhere falls the same speed. So I could use this system to train people around the world without them ever flying together. They were trained on this ball, and the ball represents a 10 way or a 500 way or a 1,000 way, whatever. They will fall straight down once they're. And, and I let them test their skills or train their skills with our instruction through the AFF 2.0. And then later on, when they thought they were ready, they get a shot on the space ball, which is then the true test. You either way can do it or not. There's no one who helps you. And by the time you open your parachute, you know if you pass the test or not. Sorry. Yes?
And you gave a rating. Can you tell people what that rating was?
I called it the atmosphere dolphin rating because I like swimming in the ocean of gas and I like the playfulness of dolphins, you know? And I'm an imaginative person and I want to inspire people to imagine their own stuff, you know? And freefall didn't cut the cookie, you know? And freefly is better word, but atmosphere dolphin is even more. People ask like, what does that even mean? And then I can explain with the hands of what kind of maneuvers you can do underwater or in the air if you manage to have your balance. And it was cute, atmosphere dolphin, you know? And then we had an A license, which basically worked like out of the 3 possible rotations, which I was looking for to have someone being able to do, and the gripping of other people, like taking a grip on a formation, that was part of the test. So basically, the instructor throws out the ball, that's the formation. The dude who does the test jumps after it, not before it. He's not a floater, he has to be a diver. And be on it, because once the ball leaves, you cannot hesitate. You will never get it. So that's the test. And then approach the ball, grab it with one hand, put it in the other hand, basically showing independent upper body maneuvering while eliminating 2 wings and flying with the other 2 wings, and then sharing those 2 wings with your flying partners. It can be that they pull or push or drag you in whatever way. If you're not independently flexible here as a shock absorber, then you were not ready to fly with my group. I didn't allow that because we were flying good, and I didn't want to have every day a new guy just testing on our team their skills. That's what this ball was for, to ensure the safety of my team members when we were flying, and not just invite people who said they could do it, but to actually test them before in a way that we didn't give them the license, they earned it. And we documented it and gave them a piece of paper, so then they can go to other people, inspire them, or say like, look man, I got this license, you don't. That's why I have learned something, and you just think you're a free flyer. You don't even know where straight down is.
And
yeah, please.
At some point, you had the first school of modern free flying.
Yeah, modern sky flying, I called
Sky
it.
flying.
Sky flying was including sky surfing. And I had built my own plane, and that was an ultralight plane. That's also sky flying and modern. And the new parachutes, that's also became a new category, parachute landings and all this stuff. There was wingsuits already. That's also part of sky flying. So it wasn't about free flying. It was about human flight, discovering all the envelopes of possibility of what a human can be stupid with while falling towards the earth.
That's great, man. That is so awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Okay, so if I've got, I'm probably butchering the timeline of all this, but at some point after we met at the 2012 World Meet, you were involved in a project to be an astronaut.
Yeah, well, that was a big dream. And I think almost every skydiver is a mini astronaut. We're coming from the air. We actually have more flying capabilities than any astronaut. They're just falling, basically. Astronauts are not even flying. They're just falling in the space capsule. They don't have no wind to fly with. So they call it, when they go outside the spaceship, they call it EVA, extravehicular activity. We are astronauts. We all are AEVA, atmospheric extravehicular activity. That's what we do. That's what astronauts do. They go outside their spaceship and then they become one themselves, and take the responsibility of whatever piloting you are doing. Now you're piloting your own structure. That means it doesn't matter if it's an airplane, rocket, or a person. In Germany, the person who has a skydiving license has a registration number, like an N number. He is the aircraft. You are the pilot of the aircraft, and that is you. You are the aircraft. Astronaut thing. With Patrick de Gallardon in 1995. Most people probably don't remember Patrick de Gallardon, but he was a stuntman from France and a super duper flyer all over, and very popular in the skydiving world. And he worked for a company which was called No Limits. And that is long time before Red Bull ever was invented. But the No Limit magazine, and those people were doing kind of the same thing like what Red Bull is doing today. They had someone who walks backwards to the North Pole. Yay. To swim through the Atlantic. Yay. All these crazy people who do some incredible stuff. They had them in their team, like Red Bull maybe today, And this Patrick guy, he was one of them. He jumped from a helicopter in the cave. With the base jumping, sort of. Maybe you remember that. And then he pulled while he's falling in the cave. He flew the wingsuit through the Grand Canyon, and he made a lot of skydiving globally visible because of his commercials and television ideas at this 90s. I mean, in the 90s, that's 30 years ago, you know?
Did he
And
invent the wingsuit, Olaf? Was he the first guy to have one?
no, the wingsuit, the first people who died on wingsuits, they jumped off the Eiffel Tower and out of balloons. No, he didn't
Hmm.
invent the
Okay.
wingsuit. No.
Okay.
Actually, my girlfriend and me, we helped building some wingsuits, early prototypes, like which Loic, the French guy, was later on doing this, the cutawayable wings and stuff. There was a lot of development. It didn't start the way it is right now. You know, it was basically it was whatever. Let me keep on the story with the astronaut project. So at that time, Patrick trains in Florida, and I am too. So he sees me being the first fast guy. And Cyprus also, they give me a box and they know that I'm the loop-de-doop guy and I'm good fast and I test the air pressures, right? So he knew I was super fast and fly faster than the others. And his new idea for No Limit magazine was like he wants to be the highest skydiver who holds his breath and then comes back to Earth without oxygen. So pretty crazy. It's like a scuba diver without a scuba bottle, you know? There's competitions who can dive the deepest and
Yeah,
stuff.
free
You know?
diving.
Exactly. So he took that the other way around and thought like, man, if I jump from the stratosphere and hold my breath, then that's cool. And then I'm a good stuntman for this No Limit magazine, right? So he was like that. And then he chose me to train him because at that time people can't really fly head down. They don't train it, they don't even know it, but he knows it and he knows he must be fast. The faster he is, the less time he must hold his breath. Or, in other words, the higher he can possibly go, you know? Um, so I train him the head down stuff, and we go to La Palisse, to his house in France. We have multiple training camps, I think, for a year and a half or something. And then we finally ready. We go to Russia, and that's in '95. And no one knows of who owns those airplanes in Russia at the time, because Soviet Union stopped, and then Russia Federation started. There was no money, no one had gasoline, there was no light in Moscow. There was fucking chaos. And when we came to this Russian airport, they were basically, I maybe exaggerate a little bit, but there were white humps on the airport. There was snow everywhere. And then each hump, the bigger the hump was a bigger plane. Now we figured that one out. And then we asked, like, what's your biggest plane? And then the general says, like, that hump over there, you know, the white thing. And that's an Illusion 76. And we go, we take it, you know? How high can it go? I can go this high. And then can we go higher? No, not really, you know? The general says, but what if we only put two people in this jet fucking big beast, you know, where you put tanks inside, you know? What if we only put two people? Can we then go higher? Maybe jump like a dolphin out of the stratosphere, out of the troposphere into the stratosphere, like a dolphin out of the water, little hang time, and then go back in the water, you know? We thought we can just catapult that beast out of the troposphere into the stratosphere with full power and then hop off on the top of the apex. That was the plan. We did that, and I'm not going to do that again. That was stupid. We made our own spacesuits. We called them counter mechanical pressure suits. The idea was good, but the execution was bad. Anyhow, man, in the end, we know we had our spiel, you know, of how we exit, like we all do now. That was special. We exit together. The airplane was super duper fast at 47,000 feet. And we thought, like, fuck, man, we maybe rip off an arm or something when we get out of that plane now, because it was flying full power with 25,000 horsepower or something, you know, and just getting up there. And we thought we get ripped apart if we jump out, but actually there was nothing. Up there, you have 75% of all the air which we are living in is there not anymore. That is crazy. Our spacesuits didn't have helmets, we had ski goggles. But that was beautiful, you know, because to look in the stratosphere somewhere, and you have 75% less air to look through, is almost like you have good eyes, but then you put on super glasses and then you can see double good, you know? What the fuck? You could almost see a little bit of the curvature. You could notice that above you it got darker and darker blue, even if it was in the day. There's hardly any molecule left which can reflect anything. And that's why it's like sort of 25% outside pressure, which also makes the complication that if you don't have pressurized your body, then basically you are a balloon which gets bigger, which also stops your blood circulation, and it's a really shit feeling. You know you're kind of slowly dying because there's no oxygen going anywhere except to your head and your belly. Painful also because everything got bigger. The head got bigger in the fucking tight helmet. Felt like a thumb screw. Shit. Yeah, then we jumped out. We had a super exit. There was no problem with all the speed, which we thought was going to rip us apart. No, it was soft like butter. And I don't know, we probably had a 400 mile per hour exit or something, you know? Ridiculous. And then we fly and we quickly on super speed, and Patrick is doing good. And I don't even need to hold him, you know? I don't know what I would have done if he would have panicked and maybe take a breath up there.
Hold on. So, Olav, if the the air is so thin, right? You said there's 25% of the air.
The numbers might be a little
Sure.
wrong, which I say, but something there's fucking little, you know,
Right.
and maybe it's 23 or whatever.
Sure.
You know?
So how do you control yourself when you don't have any air to push on?
Well, we were flying super fast with this airplane. We already kind of had 400 miles per hour when we jumped off.
So you did have control.
Yeah, we actually had much more control than we thought about.
Okay. Okay.
And we thought we don't have any control because we didn't think it's so fast when we jump off.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have the super speed, you know, which you can only have when there's no air, right?
Okay.
You can't make an exit on 10,000 feet of 400 miles per hour.
Sure.
Then you're like a fighter jet thing, you know, that doesn't work for a skydiver. I don't think we would like that. But up there, because there was no air, it kind of felt normal. It felt mushy. It felt like a slow Cessna exit or like a fast base jump or something, you know?
Yeah.
And then quickly we had up to 750 kilometers per hour, and we were going head down. And basically the idea was be as fast as we can in the fastest position. Don't fall out. Don't fucking waste any time. Any fallout would waste time to get to 7,000 meters. About 21,000 feet. That was the magic number. Until then, he had to hold his breath. Because if you take a breath before you freeze your lungs, it's fucking minus 70 Celsius up there. You would probably hurt yourself seriously or die even, you know, take a breath by accident. So he was holding his breath, and we were at 750 kilometers per hour. And then in theory, we passed Mount Everest height. Obviously, it was no Mount Everest, but then 7,000 meters, he was in the safe zone. Everything above 7,000 meters is called the death zone, because even the best human being can't really survive there for long. Some maybe can climb a little bit, but most people don't want to be there. We all get unconscious quickly, I think. And that was the idea, you know? And after that, it didn't matter anymore. We were super fast. He survived. He took his breath. And then we pulled really high, and we ended up in Russia somewhere. I never saw the airport. There was no airport. We landed in knee-deep fucking snow in the middle of Russia, and everything was white. And 15 minutes later, some helicopter came and picked me up, and Patrick as well. It was completely nuts. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That is the wildest story.
By the way, I have a book about this, and it's finished.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to that.
Clouds.
Yep, we're gonna get to that. So, Olav, we normally go about an hour. It's already been an hour, but there's still a few things we got to talk about.
That is such a fantastic story.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, Olav, last year in Chicago, after the Nationals, I think, or whatever meet was here,
Yeah.
Stephanie and I drove and joined the cookie table at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and you were
Okay.
inducted in the
Yay.
ceremony with Norman Kent and then a few other people that were inducted. And I mean, as I watched your ceremony, it was obviously a recognition of you being a pioneer in the sport, and as your story just regaled us with, not always the smartest things, but definitely pioneering. So I wondered if you'd just say a few words about the Hall of Fame. How did it feel to be recognized in that way, and yeah, just what you thought about that whole process.
Okay. I was very, and I am still very honored to be in something which is called like the Hall of Fame of human flight or skydiving. It's incredible. If one would think that of all aviation sports, skydiving is the oldest one. Ballooning is maybe the first one, but as soon as it had a balloon, the people wanted to jump out of it. I think there was in 1790 or something, the first woman survived and jumped from the balloon. So we came 200 years before the aircraft. That's how fucking cool of a flying machine we are, you know? And to be in that club is awesome. I didn't think I ever get into it because skydiving is such a political thing. That's why I started free flying because I didn't like all this belly shit. You know, if you don't have 2,000 jumps, you can't jump with me. Ooh. And all this stuff. And free fly was supposed to take that away and make it more fun. I don't know, you know. So I was really surprised and super happy that they invited at one point. I think 2 years before there was Omar and other people which I know from who are free flyers and have done some exceptionally things for the skydiving sport in promotion or whatever category they were good in. I I was happy because I think of the 100 people which are in this club, there are probably 50 already dead. They're long time ago. They got honored as a honor. I don't know. You know what I mean? They're dead. So that means there's probably 50 alive. Out of those 50 alive people in this 100 people club, I think there's close to 10 people who have the atmosphere dolphin license. Yay. And the whole family Nelson has it, and other people. And I hope in the future more people, maybe, you know. Anyway, the idea is like there are so many people now honored for their flying skills, which have a lot to do with flying human beings, not falling human beings. It's not about military skydiving anymore. It's not about surviving anymore. It's not about the easiest and surviving the whole easiest thing anymore. No, it's about making it the most difficult you can think about, and the different speed, the more you could change the speed and the rotations, the more difficulty rating you would probably get in some competition. And I like that because I like the sports part. Never liked the skydiving part and deliver some weapons somewhere. That's where we all came from. It's not like this no more. We deliver ourselves somewhere because we paint the air and the sky with turbulence. And that's the art we do. And being part of the Hall of Fame, super. I had fun telling them my speech of how it came along with the skydiving and how quickly I then got a little disappointed and started free flying by myself. And that speech I gave there made me very happy because some stood up and clapped multiple times during that speech. And I think I was allowed 5 minutes and probably was a 10, 12-minute speech. Again, like all the good pirates, I broke all the rules. Yay.
And so,
Yeah.
tell us. I know a little bit of the backstory, and you talked a little bit on social media, but what happened with your leg?
Actually, nothing. It's a very boring story. I didn't have a motorcycle crash. I didn't have a bad landing or nothing. I wake up in the night, and if this would be my foot, the toe right here, the nail on the little toe in the foot, in the left foot, really started hurting out of nothing. And then I thought, like, wow, what did you do? Did you fall off the bike? Did you kick some stool in the bar or whatever? What did I do? Nothing. Then I go and take a hot and cold shower, and I thought, like, maybe that's what I should do. In less than 2 hours, I had so much pain in that whole toe, and more got black. And I knew there was a circulation problem. And it's the first time I actually called an ambulance for myself. In 2 hours of toe pain, ridiculously, like a fucking pain, like that thing was dying. And I looked at it and it was slowly dying. So go to the hospital, get surgery in the same night in a super duper hospital, and I have insurance from Thailand, and get released the next day. No more pain, no more blue foot, everything fine, I think. Everyone thought. So I go back home with the taxi, 2.5 hours, 3 hours from Bangkok to my house. I'm 2 hours or maybe 1 hour in my house. It starts the same pain, same place, same pain. I call back the hospital. The hospital says, like, you must come very quickly back. So I go very quickly back all this fucking way. I get to the hospital. I get my new wristband. My friend leaves because now he knows I'm back in the hospital. Then comes this administration hyena woman and started ripping me apart, going like, where the money at? And I go, what money? Yeah, yesterday we did surgery on you. Where the money at? And I go, what the fuck, man? I've got insurance. That's where the money at. And then basically she threw me out of the fucking hospital because I didn't pay the $35,000 from the 6 hour before fucking surgery. They didn't accept my credit, not my credit card, but my insurance paper. Totally legal and perfect insurance, which paid 3 months later, eventually. Man, a fucking nightmare. So I got thrown out of the super hospital doing a festival, which in Thailand is the biggest festival. It's called Sungkran. It means it's the water festival. People die every day on that festival. They get run over by the truck. Everyone breaks a leg, and a fucking nightmare. Thousands and thousands of people on the street, and cars and cars and cars. And someone falls. Some people don't even notice that the next car goes over them. Fucking nightmare. So I end up in the local hospitals, not the good ones, more like a war tent with some nurses. Then I end up there. There's a room, there's 40 people, and they're all on the floor. Things are beeping, some are fucking dead and terrible. I've never seen anything like it, like a horror movie. But then they shoot me up with morphine, and every time I wake up, I scream, and then they give me more morphine. After a while, no doctor for like 2-3 days. I guess there's only one chop doctor in all of Thailand, and he goes from one hospital to another. And then he came on Wednesdays. So on Wednesdays, my leg is fucking almost until the knee. It's already dark blue and fucked up and dead. It's fucking crazy. And then I wake up one moment, and then he says, we need to chop that shit. And I go, fuck. And then I wake up, and it's gone. Yep, that's how it was. And then the next day, an Italian skydiving friend found me in this fucking other hospital. Fucking not easy to even find anyone there because it's such chaos. And then I go like, fuck, man, the leg is gone, the pain is gone, I fucking stitched the shit up. Whatever paper I must sign, I'm out of here. I'm leaving today. I'm not dying in this fucking hospital. And then they all go like, no, man, you need to stay here for at least another week or two. We just chopped your leg off. And I go, fuck you guys, I'm not staying. And then I signed whatever fucking paper in Thai. And I just had my friend driving away. And I said, like, put me under the tree. I die there, but not in that fucking hospital. and actually, everything went good after this. I had not even one tiny little mini infection. I was massaging my thing. It's perfect. It ended up, now it's like 2 months or 3 months later, I decided to come here to Chicago anyway because my healing progress was so nice. Yeah, and my biggest fear was like an opening shock, because it's a big scar. It's like a scar, and yeah, the balance in the air is like, if you can swim in the water and you don't swim a circle, then you can fly in the sky and not track in a circle also, So I was not so concerned that I don't have the skill of balancing and maybe become a propeller or something. I was concerned that opening shock is going to hurt me in the skull from the inside, and it actually didn't, not even one little bit. That people say that's phantom pain, like the limb I don't have anymore. My brain doesn't know that. It's humming like a church bell. I still feel it all the time. But since the first jump, I think the free fly is a good thing because we can fly faster than the fucking phantom pain, because I kind of lost it in the air. Or it fell off on fucking opening shot, maybe. I feel better after the jumps than before. Yeah, it's healing every day, and I will be fine. I can hop around already.
That first hospital that you were at, the nice one, was that Bumrungrad?
No, it's called Bangkok Hospital. It's a chain. It's like a Hilton.
Yeah.
All over. They're all called Bangkok hospitals, even if they're not in Bangkok. It's just a name.
Yeah.
And they're the real ones. First class, I have to say. Except the hyena fucking administration. If you don't pay them, you must come there with a fucking $1 million in cash. Otherwise, they don't help you. Ridiculous. Not even their own fucking insurance they take. Bastards, man. If they would have put me back in there, I think my leg could have been saved.
Man, I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Yeah,
I lived in, my family and I, we lived in Thailand for 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice place. I really love it there.
Yeah.
Where did you guys stay?
We lived in Chiang Mai for 2 years, and then we lived in a small town up north, Payaw. We lived there for 6 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
my youngest son, he was born in Chiang Mai.
All right. I just came there.
Yeah.
Like just before Chicago, I was up in Chiang Mai. Beautiful there.
I never got to jump in Thailand. Most of the time.
They just started a drop zone in Chiang Mai.
I heard that. Yeah.
Last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard that. Most of the time that I lived in Thailand, I hadn't started skydiving yet. I didn't have, I wasn't licensed or anything.
Right.
But the last 2 years that we lived there, I had gotten my license here in the United States, but I never had a chance to jump over there. So maybe one day I'll come back and jump.
4 drop zones now, and the drop zone Thailand, that's where I fly sometimes. It's 10 kilometers away from my house. I think it's the most modern, most beautiful one, on the beach with coral islands and all the colors in the water. It's super tropical, beautiful.
Which one is that? What is it called?
Drop Zone Thailand.
Okay.
There's skydiving Thailand, and there's Drop Zone Thailand.
Okay.
And the Drop Zone Thailand is my favorite of all skydiving places in Thailand.
And what aircraft are they using?
They have 2 Kodiaks, the Canadian planes.
Oh, okay.
Like a mini caravan, something like.
Okay.
Kind of,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Nice planes, not fast, but nice.
Yeah.
So cool. For the people who are listening, I wanted to throw this out there that with this current situation that Olav's in, and that kind of a life-changing experience, he has started selling a book that he had some copies of around Skydive Chicago. So I bought one, and the proceeds are going to help his journey continue.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, Olav, is there a way that people can reach you to possibly purchase a copy of your book?
Yes. My favorite way is you write me a message on Facebook, or that's probably the best. You can also write me an email under olavzipser@me.com.
Hold on, let me get into the chat and just put that in our chat.
OLAV, my name is spelled with E, ZIPSER @me.com. That would be my email. You can write me a nice email, and I'll write you back and give you the options of what books I have. And then I have a really shitty website, which is called olavzipser.com. And also over there, it's really not a nice website, but there you can see all the 3 books, which in the moment are for sale. In theory or practical, you can actually leave your information there, which is super hard for me to find. That's why it's a shitty website. I prefer if you write me personally on the Facebook, that would be fine, or the email.
Okay.
But on the
And
website, olavzipser.com, people can read of what the books are all about and see some pictures and stuff like that.
and what's the
Thank
future
you.
hold for you, Olav? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I never wanted to make a lot of money. I always had enough, which I spent, and I also want only the money I spent. In the moment, I'm the first time in my life in a jiffy because now I need $100,000 leg, and I don't have that money. Yeah, so I'm trying to be more busy than ever, working something which maybe is not the most fun. um, Finding ways of how to find ways to make money and deserve the money for whatever work I find to do. Maybe some inspirational speeches. I'm looking forward to selling more books. Maybe going to more boogies again to have more interaction with the people, and then that's the best way for me to sell my books. Um, I think my skydiving career as a skydiving teacher is maybe not over. I hope not, but for sure not ever the way like it ever was. So that's not gonna be my future income. That's gonna be maybe my future fun. So I have to figure shit out. Yeah, I have to
Yeah.
find myself a new leg, and be creative. I like the writing of my books. I have 3 books which in the moment I'm writing, and actually they're about Skydive Chicago and the world record which we just did, or you guys accomplished. And they go, first book is for kids, for mama, papa to read to their kids and inspire them to dream about skydiving. Second books is the kids forgot that they had papa, mama read them these stories, but they actually meet in Skydive Chicago and start remembering what papa, mama was reading to them. And then they become super dreamers and super fast flying humans, and they have mental power. And then the third book, they're going into the Soul Auction Tower, and that's organized by all the aliens, of course, and they steal and they steal human emotions since the all of human time, because those aliens, they don't have emotions, so they have to steal them from the humans. Like the first kiss, the first time dancing with your girlfriend, the first time driving a car or something. So the super dreamers, the free flyers, which linked up in the world record, they got a gift from the fifth dimension. So they become super dreamers. And they find the Soul Auction Tower, and they are pirates, and they bring all those memories back to Earth. So when they land back on Earth in the third book, then all the grandmas start dancing in the kitchen again. All the old people remember their first kiss, and everyone remembers their most beautiful things which they've forgotten. That's
Okay.
my 3 new books. Yeah, it's all about skydiving and flying and future. Anyhow,
That's
And
great.
I
so
wanted to. Go ahead.
no, I just wanted to say that's probably my main direction. I really enjoy writing, and I have a lot of stories, and I'm almost done with writing all my bullshit down. So now I have to invent new stories. So I'm free now. I don't have to talk about myself anymore, how cool and whatever I did at whatever time, blah blah blah. No, I can become a writer now, and I got all those stories done. They were my training books. And now I want to make some cool stories like this kid book, and inspire people to, instead of telling their kids a story about the wolf which is going to eat you if you're not nice, or all those fucking crazy stories they told the kids in the past to make them behave nice. Fuck that. I think that parents, they should just inspire their kids to make lucid dreaming and find friends in their dreams and be creative in their dreams, because that's part of our life. 1/3 of our life we are destined to dream, and the better dreamer is winning. You can dream the future, and you can dream the past. You can even change the past while dreaming, and then see of what the future would have been. So you can learn in your dreams. If you're lucid dreaming, you have no time dilation. You dream for half an hour, and it could be a whole year of experience. And I think it's very underestimated of the power of human dreams.
Mm.
And that's what the book's all about. It inspires people to dream more and bigger and more lucid, more awake dreaming.
Mm.
more
So
conscious dreaming.
when I got this from Olav, I forgot to say that he said, "Here's my book. Thank you for buying it. It will help with the things he's got going on right now." And most of it is true.
Yes, that I have to say, yes, it's my first book. Well, the instructional part is two books, the AFF 2.0 in the back, like the 1/3 in the back. I think it's all true because I gave it my best. If you read that, you probably fly better. You understand of which wings must be where to have whatever stability and not make any kind of rotation. You will learn about fly chi, how to use your muscles and stuff like this, a breathing rhythm. It's a free fly book. It's not AFF, it's AFF 2.0. But the novel, of course, I pulled it out of my ass and I don't even know of how to write anything. So I started off writing my life story, how I built my own plane without knowing how to fly, how I teach myself flying without an instructor. Just fill up the plane, and I figured by the time the gasoline tank is empty, I should have learned to land it. And I did. And then I trained other people, and other people jumped out of my plane instead of, including Jerry Bird and all the old super duper belly flyers. And then I will come up with the free flying and implement that as much as I can with the space ball around the world and send people who have that license back to the aero clubs to educate the aero clubs about these new options of human flying rather than falling. And that worked. And it became quickly a world sport. And then it goes on into the future, the book.
And I wanted to add to the people that listen to the show who are probably more familiar with me than they are about you. That my first free fly coach when I had a couple hundred jumps was your student, Mike Swanson, who
Yeah.
was a teammate of yours. And so the thing that you talked about in the beginning of the show, that you pioneered a different flying style, and that some of your students became teachers, and I'm maybe the second generation away from you,
And
as far
imagine,
as
imagine of how many generations you have inspired. Some of your students have become teachers,
for
and
sure.
some of their students hopefully also became teachers. So I think like by now, like 35 years later, we could call it like 6 or 7 generations. If you count 4 or 5 years as a generation for skydivers, when you
For
start
sure.
making new students.
Yeah.
So no one can ever remember grandfather, 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 grandfather's name. So I'm not amazed and I'm not surprised that no one knows any of the old people's names. They don't care. They just want to fly and have a happy time. And they should
Uh,
enjoy that too, you know?
I think I one of the things that the impression I got when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame is just the way that the past is connected to the present and the future, and I really appreciate that. And so hopefully the people that are listening out there, you humbly said that if you hadn't pioneered a new kind of flying, maybe somebody would have come up with it. But the fact is that it was you, and and all of us that free fly have a gratitude for that.
Thank you guys. You guys make me proud with however beautiful and amazing, complicated flying styles have been put together in freestyle. Look at the French guys, you know, amazing of what the tunnel has helped to make people more aware of what swimming in the ocean of gas means. You know, it's a new wet. If you tell a little Arab boy in the desert of that there are dolphins in the water and you can swim with them, then he's gonna go like, "What the fuck is this dude telling me?" You know, he's never seen a raindrop almost. He doesn't hasn't seen any ocean or no lake. It's very hard to explain to swim with the fucking dolphins to a guy like this. And the same, I feel like our duty is to tell all Earthlings that it's possible that we can fly. We can fly in the ocean of gas. And I think whoever is a teacher or long time in the sport is realizing this in their own words, whatever, and they take the opportunity and the fun which comes with it to educate non-human flyers, which there is probably more than 8 billion out there. So we got a lot to do. We can convert them all, you know. They shall
Yeah.
know and look up to the cloud and say like, man, I could fly there. They don't have to. but they could. And I think it's a waste of human imagination that there are 8 billion people looking at the sky and they don't think I could fly there. They don't have that freedom. They don't have even that one thing thought. They don't think it's possible. And that's a waste. I think they would be much better off if they would know that they could be there and don't have to. That would be fun.
Work to do.
When lots of times when I'm riding the plane to altitude, you know, and I look out of the door and I see cars driving on the road or whatever, and
tiny cars.
Sometimes it actually makes me a little bit sad. Like I feel sorry for all those people down there that don't even know what they're missing out on, you know? And sometimes I'll say that, you know, if I'm sitting by one of my friends in the plane, I'll say something like that. But, yeah, it's like, oh man, they don't even know what we're getting to do. Like they could be up here with us enjoying this. It's so good. It's so fun, you know? I wish everybody could experience it.
I think every astronaut would agree with you. If they look out of the window and see the whole planet, and behind your thumbnail, you can have 8 billion people behind your thumbnail. Wow, what an amazing thing. But we as mini astronauts or aviators, you know, atmospheric extravehicle aviators, we have part of that too. Like you say, the cars are like this small. The train looks like it's a play train, you know, and then there's this village and wow, what the things we can all see at once. No wonder it makes us wonder, you know. Beautiful.
Yeah.
People don't have that, you know. And the worst thing I think for all the ground dwelling people, they never will see a round rainbow like we do, you know. Yay. So the round rainbows are for the Peter Pans who can escape their shadow, you know? And when you meet the rainbow and you fly through it, that you have a high-speed impact with your shadow. That's awesome.
That's great.
All right.
Well,
what do you think?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show this. This is the formation that we built, that Matt came up with. Again, hats off to those people. And
Very nice.
All of us are the even if we don't know it, we are like Olav is kind of the Genghis Khan of skydiving for free flying. He's seeded the world, and we are the descendants of the free flying.
Seeded the world, yeah, baby. We're all you babes.
That's right. That's right. Well, Olav, thank you so much for joining us this evening, man. It's really fun.
Thank you, Jason. That was a great idea in the hangar. Thank you. A couple hours later, here we are. Boom, already done.
Yeah, that's right.
Cheers.
Olav, I really hope someday I have a chance to get to jump with you. That would be an honor for me. That would be really special.
Why don't you come over tomorrow? You know, I think from tomorrow on, I can clutch it again through the hangar without fucking falling. I will grab that student rig and fly that purple pink parachute 150.
Yeah. Man, I would. I'm in Texas. Otherwise, I would. Maybe I can come see you in Thailand, and we can jump in Thailand together someday.
Yes, why not? You will enjoy it there.
Yeah,
for sure. It's right next to my house, and there's a nice vacation spot.
Very cool.
Come by.
Awesome.
Everyone is invited. Just let me know before, huh?
Yeah, just show up on your door. All right. Well, to all of our listeners, you've done it again. You've wasted another perfectly good hour listening to the Crave Show with Chris, JRuss, and this evening Olav Zipser, the Godfather of Freefly. Olav, thank you very much. JRuss, thanks. That was really fun. Everybody listening.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening, for joining us.
Your mind. Freefly your mind.
Freefly your mind.
Up. Yeah, dream the future. That's like free fly your mind.
There you go. Free fly your mind.
Yeah,
go check out Olav's his website. I checked it out. It's not as bad as he said. It's okay. OlavZipser.com. Check out his books. Send him an email, OlavZipser at me.com.
Yes.
Yeah. And get out there, get in an airplane, jump out. Have fun with your friends. Free fly your mind. Enjoy being in the sky. All right.
Yep.
Thanks, you guys. Crave. Do more. Be better. See you guys. Bye-bye.
All the best. See you and happy landings.